is science a faith?
I think that the best illustration of the difference between science and faith would be, I mean, I would have no qualms about saying E doesn't equal mc squared, or evolution isn't true. But to get a Christian to write, I reject the Holy Spirit, I reject the divinity of Christ, they wouldn't even consider writing that. You know.
Yeah. Do you think as well as that science isn't really on the same thing as religion? Religion is a belief, and science is a method for pursuit of your beliefs. So it's like so we wouldn't be comparing science to religion, but more science to the process of thought that culminates in religion. So it's more about how the way they think that is contrary to science, not what they do or about anything about religion. It's more that process of thought that's contrary.
Yeah, and I think when religious people say atheism is just a religion, they're sort of misunderstanding what a religion is, I think, because people are passionate about things like anything from golf to Star Wars toys, you know, and you know, a lot of people that are vocal about their atheism are passionate about it, but it's engaging passions in a sort of completely different sense to religion, and you can't call any group of people that like to gather around to discuss ideas a religion, because then in that case, you know, golf would be a religion.
Yeah.
So it's the faith that is the defining factor in religion, and that is exactly what science lacks. We don't accept anything on faith, so we're not a religion.
Yeah.
And also, it's stupid to call a sort of concept of being against religion a religion, because it's what makes religion a religion that we're against. So how could we be something that we're against?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But you know, I can see where they're coming from, because people do like to read books by Richard Dawkins, but in the same way that someone who likes golf would like to read a book by Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
It's not comparable, just because people talk about it and sort of discuss it and read books about it.
Yeah. Indeed. I suppose another angle on science is science faith. The science of faith question is as to whether as to what defines faith. Faith is
Well, I think it's a conviction, regardless of evidence. Although a lot of religious people seem concerned about that as well, but deep down it's kind of belief in this idea, regardless of whether it's true or not. It's sort of convinced.
Just different hope. On the contrary, would be something that you believe could happen, isn't it? So you believe is true. So you say like so faith is blind, whereas kind of hope is to a sense more.
Well, yeah, hope is often based upon your sort of analysis of the way things are going. When you feel hopeless, it's kind of when things are going bad, and you can't see when they're going your way. But when they're going your way, you sort of develop hope of achieving, you know, that it's all leading somewhere. It's kind of it's based upon what you're experiencing in the real world. It's not based upon something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So if I don't think it's developing science being a faith is that it could for something to be a faith, it has to be faith in something. Like for example, the faith of Christianity is faith in God, whereas science is not faith in any specific thing. Okay, it's the faith in reality, I suppose, is the closest thing it could be.
And it's the kind of the fact that science is really interesting. It does engage your passions, and you get sort of excited about talking about it. And it's kind of really interesting, and it does engage you. And you do find people that are into science like talking about it a lot, but there's no reason to compare it to religion at all, just because people like it, because people like loads of things. It's like a psychological tendency to be sort of really obsessed by certain interesting ideas, and religion is just part of that whole sort of psychology, really.
Yes, fanaticism. It's not so much religion. Religion is fanaticism, but
yeah, I think if you were in a position where you're saying, I believe everything that science tells me, regardless of, you should, when you read about, it's like, to use a recent example, that NASA, when they were claiming about some sort of something to do with astrobiology, it was all hyped up really big, and it's kind of, when you actually read the paper, it kind of doesn't really say anything clearly, and it didn't really come to many conclusions, it was just all hyped up. That's the kind of example. You should always know what science is actually saying, what it says in the actual scientific papers, rather than what the scientific media says, because they just went completely hyped over something that doesn't really say much, that at best it just says it's something that requires further investigation.
Yes, it's, like I said, for us, it's not. I mean, having faith in a particular, like having faith in equals MC squared, like we may not know exactly what it means, or may have not done experiments to kind of prove it's.
Well, other people have those.
Yeah, so that's kind of more faith in other people, which is, again, is more hope, because it's not.
But I think that it's worthy to place hope in science, because you can see from its track record the benefit it has had upon society as a whole. It's not like religion has got that same track record, really. When you look at the history of religion, it's been overtly war and kind of conflict. But when you look at the history of science, it's kind of humble people accepting new ideas and being open to this sort of thing, and being persecuted by religious people while they're at it.
Yes, the process, the idea of science, of using evidence to further your understanding is the nature of science, whereas faith is the opposite. To say science is something blind, when by definition it's using evidence.
Scrutiny. It's like every idea is scrutinised for every possibility, and it's all kind of with a process of peer review, and they get relevant experts to study the papers in depth and sort of pick out any errors. It's kind of the most the process is like the most sort of skeptical and scrupulous sort of process to find out whether a theory or a hypothesis is true or not, and if it meets predictions and constantly sort of predicts the outcome of experiments and stuff, and if this is true, then we should find this kind of thing. It's based completely on rational analysis.
Yes,
it's the best means we have of discovering truth, and religion is like the best means we have of like hiding the truth and denying it to ourselves.
Yeah, okay. Galileo and all the other scientists who've not been in the past, so more kind of merged and stuff, but more recently they kind of get their opinions to be like the world being flat and revolving around the sun, and it's always been religion that's hindered science.
But it started off, because I think psychologically it's better to have a sort of a bad explanation than no explanation at all. So religion is our first attempt at cosmology, because we would have asked the question, why are we here? We're the same intelligence, but we didn't have the evidence to know that. So rather than saying we don't know, it was better for our psychology to develop an explanation for it. So it's kind of the first attempt at rationality, but it's a failed attempt.
Yeah.
Whereas science is the sort of refined evolution of rationality to its kind of peak, the best we could sort of achieve it.
Yes, like the evidence coming across the watch, like in the analogy of the blind watchmaker, where he finds the logic and science says the things that are complicated are created. So with my scientific knowledge, I'm going to apply that example to myself. That's so I was being created, and that's a scientific process. It may not be a very intelligent scientific process or a very knowledgeable scientific process, but it is one. And then the next stages would have been finding different examples of plants and things, and once it came on to natural selection, then you'd have found a new science. A new science would have been advanced from testing, and like real world scenarios, and you'd have furthered that scientific idea.
Mm. 'Cause it starts out with the null hypothesis, where you don't assume your idea is true, and you sort of try to prove it wrong. And, you know, proving yourself wrong is an important part of science as well. And if you prove it wrong, you sort of strive for the right answer. But no one's attempting within religious circles, other than debating sort of small biblical issues. None of them sort of actually go in depth with the analysis of the Bible and actually sort of study unbiased sources that say the Bible was actually written by many people over many centuries. They learn it to the extent that fits in with their beliefs, but they don't study it any further than